A History of the World in 100 Objects. Part 7. Toyota Lovers.
At a time when carbon-based life on Earth was under threat from climate change, a series of complex rituals emerged in Australia around one of the drivers of the global cataclysm, a personal transportation device called the motorcar. It is hard to imagine now how completely motorcars dominated the planet for their brief, 100-year existence. But discoveries on an island south of Australia have cast new light on their cultural significance. Two pale shiny 30-centimetre-high vessels have long fascinated visitors to the British Museum. To many, their voluptuous anthropomorphic shapes suggest fertility symbols, or containers for fluids used in sexual reproduction. But as exploration continued at the site where they were found, an even more intriguing picture emerged. The vessels are known as the Toyota Lovers, after a piece of metal code found at the site. The only area of flat land in an otherwise mountainous region. The very distinctiveness of the location suggested that something important had once taken place here. The site has proved to be a rich source of human artifacts. There are the remains of metal alloy panels that formed the bodies of the motor cars, the heavy, cast metal parts of the car's mechanical workings, shattered glass and a wide variety of degraded plastic objects, including our lovers. What most fascinated anthropologists as they worked was the emerging evidence that this had been a ceremonial site dedicated to the motor car. It seems that as many as 40 cars had been taken there to be sacrificed. Among the artifacts leading to this speculation are car panels scarred by metal pellets shot from primitive hunting weapons. Some cars had been burnt. One of the few intact cars at the site had a coprolite, a fossilized piece of human feces, lying on top of its engine. So, does this evidence point to respectful burial or ritual desecration? I asked Microsoft's GeoArchive what the significance of the Toyota site could be.
Australian society at the beginning of the Anthropocene age was very much a car culture. The continent's low population density and the distance between settlements made walking or mass transportation less feasible than in other parts of the world. We have records of such things as car rallies, car races and special car washing places that reveal the strong emotional relationship Australians had with their cars. Seen in this light, we could interpret the Toyota site as a zone of thwarted love, that the owners of the cars have turned against them. Perhaps when the cars failed to perform as required. The shooting and burning, the violence against what were, in the human view, inanimate objects, is a very powerful indication of rage. Not just rage at the cars, but perhaps fear of what would happen when cars and the economies reliant on making them, or producing raw materials for them, cease to exist.
So how then, must we view our lovers? Attempts to work out what they once contained have proved inconclusive. They are both filled with the orange dust of ferrous metals and the mold spores of passing centuries. But we can still tell much about the society that produced them by examining their forms. Ford Perfect, a historian of the industrial age, explains.
This final phase of humanity was characterized by both mass production and specialization. Millions of molds were made by specialist craftspeople to turn out billions of specialized objects. If you examine our lovers closely, you can see that they have lines down their sides. These lines indicate the two parts of the mold they were formed in. But what really stands out about them is not the similarities but the differences. They are both plastic vessels for liquid, but one has female curves and the other a masculine, phallic shape. That tells us two things, firstly, that they would not have been interchangeable. They are designed to fit into a particular space. And the sample of car bodies at the Toyota site alone shows how varied the shapes of cars were. We could speculate endlessly about the reason for this variation, but what I find really fascinating about the lovers is the anthropomorphic shape of them. Humans made things that looked like humans, that echoed the forms of the human body. It's exciting to think of the close relationship, the kinship even, that humans had with the things they made.